So, my latest project is very interesting. Here we have a Release 5 Amiga A501 memory expansion for an Amiga 500. And here we have another one that's been depopulated, and you can really see the damage. And this one actually doesn't work, and I wasn't able to determine that there was anything wrong with the chips or the components on it. I think it somewhere, I'm suspecting somewhere there is actually a broken lead that I just can't see. You know, I have quite good magnification, but I just can't seem to find out where it is. Also, what's disheartening is in the midst of this project I was talking about, I actually tested continuity from the pads of the connector to every spot on the board, and it's all good. So I don't know what, I spent way too much time trying to diagnose this, and I thought I would turn lemons into lemonade by making a new project that was quite enjoyable. And here's the fruits of my labor, and we're gonna reveal it here. I don't even know if it works or not, but I don't know if you're familiar with this company. Pretty popular for those who want to make their own. But I'm revealing this to myself, and I'm hoping it'll be very nice. I think you can tell what it is already. There have been other people on the internet who have made their own A500 memory expansion PCBs. There's one on PCBWay that you can get. This is not that. This is actually what I did. I actually, exactly as best as I could, replicated the Release 5 A501. And just as a piece of art, you know. So every little part on this, you know, the green doesn't quite match. It's not going to be a perfect replica, but everything is pretty much within a fraction of a millimeter where it should be. You can see that I managed to copy the Commodore signs and the locations. Although the fonts are not quite the same, you can see this is a larger font for this C903. Sorry. But I mean, which would you rather have in your Amiga, right? So yeah, I'm pleased with the result. Now even the ground plane, and there's actually a ground plane and a VCC plane on this, which is odd. So basically most of the plane on the back of this is indeed a ground plane, but there's a good portion of it that is actually a VCC plane. This piece here on top, and it goes down but between every other chip, and the ground plane goes between every other chip than that. This is the VCC rail. So it's kind of, you know, unusual. I guess that's one of the things you want to try to do when you're making a memory module like this. So anyway, ooh, nice and shiny. But one thing I did notice is that there's like a crosshatch on the negative, when except where, you know, it is where they're wanting to pass, you know, an actual ground, which, I mean, the ground's going to pass through this as well. I don't know if that's a cost-cutting thing, where the in-between areas where it's just a ground plane, they actually put like a honeycomb thing on it. But I mean, obviously, using the software available to me, that free software online, you know, that wasn't something. But I'm hoping it was just a cost-cutting thing and not some sort of an actual design thing, you know. But like I said, I got as close as I could given the tools that I had. So yeah, I suppose, I mean, I suppose it's worth it for me to do an order of a few more and put them up on eBay and into my eBay store. I sell other Amiga stuff, and to see, you know, how many people might be interested in it. But you know, you got a really badly corroded board, and you just want something that looks nice. Now, I made the decision to make the battery terminals exactly the same as they were before, because my idea was to replicate the board entirely as best as I could. And the fact is that, you know, of course you're not going to probably put a rechargeable battery back in here that'll corrode again. But what you can do is the CR2032 holders actually fit right in there. And then if you substitute one of the resistors, I think it might be, yeah, it's that one right up there. If you substitute that resistor for a diode, you can use a non-rechargeable battery, or leave that alone and actually get like a lithium rechargeable cell, which I purchased. Those are quite expensive. They're like $6 a piece, but you know, heck, they'll last a long time and you won't have to really worry about it. So my next job is to populate this board, so that's what we're going to do next. Tell you what though, getting these squiggles for the memory just right, they're not all the same. I'll just put it to you that way. As you can see, these squiggles vary from each other, and none of them are the same. And obviously you can see it would have been easier for me to just copy and paste my traces, you know, my legs of traces, but the idea was to make them the same. So I'm, like I said, within a tenth of a millimeter in most cases. So anyway, if anything else, it's a piece of art. It's a replica of a piece of art, I should say. You know, like a really high quality print of a painting or something. Another thing that was wrong with this original is that it's warped. It's pretty well warped. Try to straighten it out a little bit. That's a little straighter, but then it's still kind of bent. But yeah, it's warped. Check the description of this video for a bill of materials. You can actually purchase all of the components for this board brand new, except for the 56-pin connector, for which you can substitute 2 smaller connectors. More on this later. Regarding migrating the components from an old A501, the passive components such as capacitors and resistors are fairly easy to remove. However, the through-hole ICs are a bit more difficult. I have other videos about desoldering those. I will put a link up in the top right corner and in the description for my video on desoldering with the tool you see here, the Hakko FR301 desoldering gun. If you don't have a good desoldering tool or are otherwise resistant to removing the old chips, I suggest you go ahead and at least buy the 16 41256 memory chips. They are pretty cheap. We've had a mishap in our design. See that up there? So we've got a bodge wire to make up for it. This is the revision A board with the bad trace. You can see I have populated it already, and it actually works once I added the bodge wire. I just wanted to show you the fail. I fixed the design and reordered another batch. Now on to video of me populating the revision B board with all new components. By the way, I'm going to put a link in the description to the places where I found these. So check that. What is that? She's cardboard? Yeah. So these are the closest thing I could find to our edge connector. And of course we can see that they are not long enough. They're too short. However, the pin pitch is exactly the same. It looks very similar, and it also fits right in there. So, do I have that right? Yes, I have that right. So I bought 4 of them. They're freaking expensive. They're like, I don't remember how much they were. Almost $10 a piece. But I found a cheaper option on Digikey that is a 40 position. Check the bill of materials. But these have like some sort of thing on the end, so we need to do something about getting these close together. So, you know, obviously what we're going to do is we're going to cut off one side of this one and this side of this one and fit them together. But we have to be very careful to try not to intrude upon the holes. So we're going to, you know, it's going to be time consuming. We're going to cut it off, do a rough cut with a Dremel, a rotary tool, and then have to, you know, file or sand down the remainder until we get it just right, just to be careful not to cut into our hole area. Let me get you a close-up of that. Yeah, you can see that we need to cut it off so that they sit, you know, like that. So we need to cut these ends off, and we just have to be really careful about that. So that's fun. But, you know, and we're going to use one of these, or a pair of these, on this board here, this revision B, and we are going to be careful with everything we use, and because we're eventually, I mean, this board's going to get thrown away, and we need to, I want to save all the components out of it. So here I ordered a ton of memory, the 4 256 memory chips. Those are brand new. I've got 16 here that I've taken from one of the other memory expansions. I've got the, I think it's the 10-pin Resistor Networks from Digikey, and here's the 8-pin Resistor Networks, so that we don't, so that we're not using individual resistors, which work just as well, but it's, you know, it's not original. Then I talked about the trimmer capacitor, the variable capacitor. So here these are not the exact spec that's indicated in the schematic for the A501. However, they encompass the same range. I think they're a wider range variety. And here we have our quartz crystals. I forget what the frequency is, but again, we'll have a link in the description for those. And then then we have a box of ZENER diodes, because we got 2 ZENER diodes on there, and I didn't have any axial ZENER diodes. I may not have had any ZENER diodes at all. Anyway, so the project moves on, it moves forward. Let's populate this board. I'm going to do a ultra fast forward, you know, time-lapse deal of assembling this board so that you don't get bored. No pun intended. Pun intended. Pun intended. People don't admit to that as often as they should. There it is. For the first time, you guys and myself are seeing it for the first time. A fully populated, brand new A501 revision 5. Everything on here is brand new. We even have a lithium CR2032. Looks like it has a different model number, LIR2032H. But anyway, it's rechargeable, so the part where you have to put a diode instead of a resistor is moot, and this thing will recharge and last a super long time, rather than have to worry about replacing a regular coin cell. It's not rechargeable. So on the workbench, I tested the continuity and the short. I tested for shorts on the real-time clock side, and it's fine. No issues there. So I'm really concerned about 12 volts, you know, but it doesn't seem like 12 volts is going anywhere except, well, it really stops here because it goes through a high, like a 10K resistor, and then that's it. It just, you know, so it's definitely not 12 volts anymore after its first component. But anyway, let's plug this in, and drum roll please. Always makes me nervous. Just have to pull the trigger sometimes. Okay, so far so good. We're just going to test the memory one more time. And we can choose to test the slow memory by itself. That'll be a little faster, well, twice as fast because it has half the memory, so that's good. We passed it. Once we get to round 2, like I said, it passed a full test. So let's go back there. What's nice about Amiga Test Kit is it has a battery backup clock. So it does say that the chip is detected, so that's good. So let's, hopefully I can set the time and date with, yeah, I can. So let's see, we're July. Year. Got a ways to go here. If you want to hold it down, not really. Get used to that click. Sunday, good. And it's oops. That sucks. Okay. Military. I think it's 12 o'clock, just about. Actually, it's 12. God, the time flies. Of course, it's later than I thought, because I turn around and it's, you know, nighttime or whatever. So 12:25. I'm not gonna worry. Save and exit. Okay. So, and then we're going to turn the computer off and take a break. Anyway, let's. We've had this off for long enough. Let's see if it remembered the time we set and the date. And then, of course, I'll do further testing. I'll leave the computer off for like a day and then go back to it and see. But anyway, so yeah. So there we have a working real-time clock, as far as I can tell. Computer was off, no power. I just wanted to put both of them together. So, after all my efforts and all my time and spending all the money for all these components that I don't really need otherwise, we have complete success. We have a brand new Commodore A501 Revision 5 that is the closest looking thing to the original that you can do within a reasonable amount of money. These will be available in my eBay store at the time of publishing this video. I'm going to go ahead and order a bunch more. I don't have a price that I haven't figured out how much I'll ask for them, but I'm basically going to price them within the range of comparable circuit boards that are on eBay. So I'll be within the same range as those. And you know, I'll only make a couple bucks each one, but you know, every little bit helps. So you know, because when you get done paying for the boards are pretty cheap to produce, and that would be real nice if you lived across the street from the factory that did it. But because I'm across the ocean from the factory that did it, the shipping is more than it takes to, say, print 5 of these or 10 of these. So, you know, which is what you benefit from ordering in bulk. So I am going to order these in bulk, and it would be great if I could at least get my money back on them and help push forward the Amiga retro hobby. So anyway, I just wanted to make a video about this, and I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time, friends.